Welcome back to another live stream with Breaking the Silence. You guys have been amazing lately in the forum and community and everything, commenting and supporting this channel. And as always, I know Mary would like me to say, please give us a like. It helps a lot to get YouTube to push our channel more, although they're not doing that much lately for some undisclosed reason. Also, subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button and become a subscriber. So you'll get notices when we have new shows. A lot of people say, I didn't hear about that show. Well, this is how you find out. And if you're really inspired, become a member of our YouTube channel and help support us monetarily, because we could use it. It's just Mary and I, and we do all this work, and we're working on it every day. From the time we get up in the morning, 5:30, I'm not kidding you, every day. We deal with the net, communicating with everybody, answering everybody's emails, and getting back to everybody as quickly as we can. But keep in mind, it's just Mary and me doing all this work, and that's including the shooting, the editing, her podcast, Secret Stories, which is actually very involved, and she's getting more involved with them all the time. And of course, I've been working nonstop lately on the next show, which will be in a couple of weeks, which is my memory of the place I refer to as the park, that I'm sure that Nancy and I will be discussing at some point, because we seem to sync on so many issues with regards to the subject. So let's bring Nancy Thames on now. Welcome.
Hello.
There
Thank
you
you
are.
for having me. Yeah.
Yeah. Got a nice background and everything looks great.
Thank you. I was just thinking I need to make some new ones. I've had the same one over and over. Yeah, but that's okay.
Well, this is not your first rodeo. You've been doing a lot of work with this. And as we talked the other day, briefly, you talked about how this whole experience has been evolving for you. And you don't hear that often from the general experiencer community, but I do hear it from Whitley, and I've heard it from you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about it all the time. I think I'm starting to bore people, but there really is an evolution.
Yes. And, that's why I hadn't even written a book, because it's just beginning for me. I'm 64 years old, and ever since I was born, even before my birth, they have been getting me ready for this event. This is the biggest thing to happen to humanity since our creation, and we're all a part of it. And this is my role that I play in a part of this, is, getting information out there and giving humanity options to either go the more positive route or stay in the lower frequency where they are. It's their choice. But I feel like everybody deserves the opportunity to have that choice with the right information.
Yeah, it started off kind of nuts and bolts. Then it was the whole matter being taken and what's going on with that. But for me now, I really look at this as a thank you, and as a force of nature. This is a natural event. This has happened to so many sentient species when they've been coming through their rather dark periods, both socially and technologically, as we are. And we're on an edge of annihilation. And I don't think that this is something that's new in the universe. I think this has happened on many worlds, and there has been help to get through those periods. I mean, even Gene Roddenberry talked about it in Star Trek. So,
yeah, this is part of an evolutionary process, and like I said, that they've been waiting for us to get to this pivotal moment within our civilization to reaching a frequency of where we're finally starting to be able to tap into greater knowledge that is available for all of us if we work on our inner soul selves and get ourselves to a higher frequency. We can all tap into this information. In my case, they just jumped me and my son up a little bit earlier so that we could help teach humanity how they can do the same thing, because we are all very unique and we're all a part of this, whether we want to realize it or not. We all made a choice to come here and be on earth, and we came here with a reason or purpose. And for people like you and me, our role and our purpose is to be a part of this in whatever way. And there's many, many others like us that are here. They have a calling. It's just like in the movie Close Encounters, the people, they felt a calling, and it's like Jacques Vallée said, these people had an invitation. We had an
Yes,
invitation. I use that in my bio. We're all
I know
invited.
you do.
Everyone is invited. And that's why I do what I do, even if the people that don't want to hear it, something, one word I say or something I do might resonate and then flip them over. And I'm not saying that I'm just hoping that they will choose the right path for themselves. But I want them to know what their options are. It's everyone's on their own spiritual path. They have to make their own choice. But I would like to know that they were given an opportunity.
Yeah, and Jacques basically said that very thing to me, and of course he must have said it to Spielberg too, because there's a line in the film where the map maker says, "They were invited. They're supposed to be here."
We're all invited. And that's what
Yeah,
I'm reaching out to, is the whole world, all of humanity. And that's what they're reaching out to, because it doesn't matter what our governments do or do not do. It doesn't matter, who we are in life. This is about all of us. It's not about me. It's not about our government. It's not about people just in our ufology or paranormal or people with all these beautiful abilities. This is about the whole world. It's a worldwide phenomena. So we're all special and unique, and we're all here, whether we remember it or not. We're all a part of this. So I think it's the most beautiful time to ever be alive and to be a human being. And we are privileged enough to be here at this time to witness this. This is something that I believe will go down in history as being the generation that stepped up and made the change and made the human experience, which is not so wonderful in our 3D negative world. But we are going to be the generation that start a new evolution for humanity into looking at a more positive, aspects of life, and learning how, not overnight, but learning to be the better version of a human. We may never be perfect, and that's not what this is about. This is about understanding who we are, our true origins are, who our inner soul self is, our purpose for being here, and to be a better version of ourselves in the future.
yeah, and it begins with going outside at night and connecting with those stars that everyone ignores.
Yeah.
They think you're weird if you're out in your backyard looking at stars. I used to get that. What are you doing? It's like I'm connecting with the very thing I was born from
Exactly.
and am part of it.
And they
And
don't realize, with that junk DNA in them, that's part of that's part of our cosmic heritage. That's dormant DNA just waiting for us to spark it, and we have the opportunity to do these things.
it's interesting about that because it's been my observation with being a pilot, being an aviator, and everything. One thing I know is about pilots is they can be very jar-headed and in a box, as smart as they are and compartmentalized and everything else. But you take that same person, you put them in a spacecraft and put them in orbit around the Earth in free fall, or even better, put them on the moon. They'll never be the same because it's like some switch gets turned on the minute they hit free fall and they're in space. Something turns on that changes them completely. I mean, look at Edgar Mitchell. Perfect example. He
Yeah.
was a hairy hair shirt, addy boy pilot, and they're all gung ho. They're great people, but send that man to the moon and look what happened. It changed all of them forever. So we
I
can
can
do
understand
that.
that.
By, we
I
can do
think
that.
it's we have a homesick feeling until we feel something like that. We
Yeah,
all, as long as we're bound here to earthbound, we look up. We know that we belong somewhere. We know that we feel homesick.
yeah. I hear that a lot, Nancy. When we have people go in front of camera, not for the live stream, but or even on the live
Mhm.
stream, but we have them go on camera for one of our film shows. Um, that's often the first thing they talk about. Um, I remember that well myself, going out in the backyard, looking at the stars and feeling that I had this incredible connection to them and that they were home. And I wanted to get back out there as if I had been out there already. And I have,
Hmm. Yeah,
because it's endless, the lives that we've had. But you're right. We came here for a purpose. We agreed to it. We came here to make a difference.
I think so. We can turn this negative realm, 3D realm, and move into the higher dimension and turn it into a more positive, fruitful, and learn many things. We should not be ashamed of our past. Not everything in our past was good, but it also, we have to look at it from the perspective that it has made us who we are today, through the good, through the bad, through the struggles. It taught us many lifelong lessons that we will carry with us in our data banks and into our other children, generations of children, in their data bank of knowledge of what we came through to pull ourselves out of this. And this is what is so unique and amazing to the interdimensionals, is the fact that coming from such a negative realm, and all the diversities and all the division, separation, all these things that occurred, if we manage to pull off this ascension and this evolutionary leap, this is an amazing thing for a species of beings that live a very short period of time on their planet as an individual. So it's a great accomplishment. And we're actually, without realizing it, we're going to be setting examples throughout the universe of what we are capable of doing. We are unique. We're different. We are definitely not like any of the other races, as far as all of our behaviors. And we've had to go through a lot of struggles. And,
Yeah.
we're just now starting to understand these things.
But what better way to evolve than to connect with the cosmos and start paying attention to looking up instead of down? You
Yeah.
know, it's just, and what better way for it to happen than the way it's happening right now? And I asked myself, how else would that happen?
We have to raise our frequency and
Yeah, it is
get
about,
down there, tap into that frequency that they're just waiting for us. They're sitting there just waiting for us. They're not hiding from us. They're all over the place. We just simply, in this 3D realm, we just can't see it. But that's what's one thing that's going to change, is our visual range will increase, and we're going to start seeing more and more of these things, and it will become more acceptable to all of humanity, because it will be in a very slow, divine, slow way, so that people have time to digest the information and not have their brains overwhelmed. So it's pretty amazing. They show me visions of these things and how it all works. And they constantly tell me to be patient, let evolution run its course, and it will do most of the job that we would like to see in the world. A lot of that is going to occur just with the ascension and evolution.
so more and more lately, and especially just recently, I started having this phenomenon where I wake up in the morning and then I close my eyes again. Oh, the alarm, but you're fully conscious. You're
Yeah,
awake. Close your eyes, and the things I see, and in the visions and the symbols and the expressions, it's almost like art in graph. I mean, it's so real that you open your eyes again to look around the room to make sure you're really awake, and you close them and then they're right back there again. And I'm starting to get this more and more. And Whitley and I have been talking about this because he's been getting this for a while now, but it seems to me like it's on the rise.
it
Um,
is. Something's going to occur here fairly sooner than later. And I think it's probably going to be sooner than a lot of people think. I hear people keep throwing out the year 2026, 2027. And, I don't know where they're getting that information, but, when I talk with these interdimensionals and extraterrestrials, there is no such thing as time. They don't put time frames on things.
it's
So,
always now.
yeah, exactly. So it depends on how we act in the present. It's up to humanity. And I think there has to be a certain percentage of us to kind of pull the weight for many. But there will be some that just don't want to go this route. And that's their option, of course. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it
not for
is. I mean,
everybody.
we all make our choices, good, bad, or
Yeah,
indifferent. Wow. So
it's amazing.
do you meditate?
Well, yes, I'm in constant communication, but when what some people call meditate is probably, I have my own version of doing things. I don't follow the normal practices of what other people do. I have my own way that they've taught me since I was just a toddler. And so I speak to them with intention, and I use a part of my brain that I can, it's kind of like I can put pressure on, kind of, I don't know how to even explain it, but I can make my brain do a certain function, and and it's like a direct frequency with them.
It's
And
hard to
then
put it to
you
words.
can't put these things into words.
I know you feel it and you see it.
They don't use words. They're telepathic. So, when I ask them something, they always say, "You already know," and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah,
But
that sounds very familiar. I mean, it was only about 3 or 4 days ago that because Mary and I have a routine that we do yoga every morning. Before yoga, we do meditation. And while I was meditating, I was being talked to, and I said, "Okay, hang on here a second. So tell me something that I can't possibly know. So I know it's you really talking to me and not just I'm talking to myself." And it said, "Well, I can't do that because you already know."
well, that's part
The
of
question
our.
you're asking,
That's part of. I had to do that myself. That is part of our awakening, is accepting these messages and
yeah.
knowing them.
Well, and then she, I believe, because that's what I've been dealing with for a long time, said you have to understand that we're connected, and so
Hmm.
you think you're talking to yourself, you're really we're connected. So I am you, and you are me. And I thought, God, that's so cliche and corny,
But
uh,
it's true. It
but
is.
after the meditation and after we were done at yoga, Mary looks to me, and before I knew what she was going to say, and she said it. She said that very same thing. How do I know? How do we know when we're just talking to ourselves or we're really hearing for someone else? And I got a chill because we just finished meditation at the end of yoga, and that had just been on my mind, and it just happened, and she was in complete synchronous with me about it.
Right.
The odds of that
Well,
are
that was their way of gifting you both affirmation,
yeah,
and they do that kind of thing all the time. And a lot of people, I think, get these things and have them. They just don't. They suppress it, or either
they
they.
blow it off.
Yeah,
Not just my
exactly.
imagination, just
Yeah,
my mind. And of course, we're
yeah.
so conditioned by our own culture to not realize the power that we have, and that is a power. It's we don't throw lightning bolts and stop people's hearts, but I'd much rather have this power, the power to be able to connect with the universal knowledge that's present throughout the universes
Yes,
dimensions, which because we're all connected to it, and
yes. We're
so
all
we
one.
should be plugged in, but we don't believe it, so we block it.
Yeah, and it's just like, if, for example, what they've been teaching me lately is about how we ask for things. For me, like I don't want to come across as being a person that is taking advantage of people or anything like that, but they're showing me how to ask for abundance, and it can be in so many different ways. It could be abundance of love, abundance of opportunities, abundance of information, abundance of gifts. It can be so many different things. So they've been working, they do them, whatever. People don't realize that they interact with us in so many ways, and we just think, sometimes I guess we think, oh, that was my bright idea.
Yeah. Well, people need to remember that this consciousness is been around for a very, very long time and has really evolved with their spiritual side as much as their technology, maybe even more so. And so all this is quite natural. But our spiritual being and our knowledge and awareness of it here on earth is very, very, very low down. It's not where it should be. Now, of course, we know about the Buddhists and the Hindus and a lot of other people who have been connected to this very the Aborigine people have been deeply connected with this,
Yes.
and the indigenous people of this country,
Hmm.
which I'm proud to be related to. Um, Before the colonials came along, they were talking to people from the star people, the sky people. They were universally around the world before we ever had radio or internet, making the same symbology, the petroglyphs and the cave paintings that the of the Wangina, which are the Dreamtime beings,
Hmm.
Aborigines. It's just everywhere. And then along came colonialism, and oh, we're going to take control of everything and tell people what reality is. And here we are. We've been
Yeah.
stuck in this loop for this all this time. We can't possibly evolve. We're not going to be able to reach the stars the way we want to if we don't.
Yeah. Well, the sad part is if we stay in this negative realm, we're probably going to destroy ourselves or put us back, knock us backwards, and knock our civilization backwards instead of forward. So I hope that we
Yeah, but
can
we
prevent
won't
all
go
that.
back.
I hope. I don't think they're going to let us.
No.
I don't think so. I don't think that's an option anymore. But we still have to do our part. We can't feel like it's just going to be laid out on a silver platter for us. We still need to do our part and try to be the better version of ourselves.
Yeah, just being kind and doing the very best you can, and you know, I mean, I've got some comments this morning from someone who was saying, thank you for not killing a spider because it's in your house. Thank you for putting it outside. Thank you for not killing because something it disturbs you. And we do that. I mean, I've been around people that had an indigenous person come to my house who was very much into his culture, but and spoke greatly of very higher consciousness oriented things. But then when he left our house, there were snails outside. He started stepping on them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, you see where I'm going, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, no, they're in your way. Pick them up and put them aside. Well, they'll eat all your plants and all that. And it's like, well, they always have and they always will. So why kill something? It's just not good. And
Well,
if
everything
a
plays.
rattlesnake attacks you and you have to kill it to defend yourself, you have to defend yourself.
Yeah, that's a different story. But
Yeah,
yeah, everything has its own cycle and its own gift to nature. Even if we don't see it, there's some specific reason that they're playing some role. You know, so I don't know. I just every day I learn more, and I realize more and more. There's so much more to know. There's
oh
it's
yeah,
just it goes deeper, deeper, deeper. But I love it. That's
sure.
it gives us purpose and it gives us reason, because I think we kind of got humanity kind of got in this kind of mundane, complacent lifestyle, just work, 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 you know, and we lost a lot of values and we lost our connections like with nature, our environment, and
Yes,
with other people, So I don't know. I see things from everything that they've shown me, things are going to change a lot, and it won't be overnight, but it will, run its course. And it takes time for people to get adjust and change, but it will end up being a beautiful thing.
nothing happens overnight in this universe. Even a
Right.
star going nova takes millions of years before it reaches that point when it detonates. So
Hmm. It's
then it
inevitable.
happens instantly, but the build up to it, yeah,
Mhm.
you know. I, um, Tell us a little bit about your background. I mean, I know probably a number of people here are familiar with your background, but not everyone, and how you got involved in this and what you've done prior to getting involved in this amazing phenomenon.
Well, I am a lifelong contactee with interdimensional extraterrestrials, and it started. My first conscious memory started at around 2 or 3 years old, and I can remember, having visitations, been visiting. At that point in my life, I was never scared. I had no reason to. I had no influences or no outside sources to influence me. So it was what it was, and I looked forward to it and had fun, and they made it fun. So really and truly, it continued like that until um, I got to about junior high, high school age, something like that. And at that point, I was reading books, I was watching movies, you know, Star Trek, all these different things. And so and I was reading and seeing magazines, and comments that other people were making. So at that point, the world around me started influencing me, and I actually became scared and would have anxiety before a visit. And they've always let me know before they're coming, about 5 to 10 minutes, to give me the opportunity to get myself mentally prepared for it. Because for me, it's never been what they look like. For me, it is the frequency exchange between human beings and a higher dimensional being. It is overwhelming because they're at a much higher frequency. And when I was little, I never understood why they were doing this, but I would wake up and they would be holding, when you showed, it was kind of in your, at the beginning of the show, where you showed them holding the, like a spear or orb going back and forth, back and forth. And they were actually changing my frequency to match their frequency. And then I would notice that my body would start to lift or float up off the bed. And then a female hybrid gray would take me by the hand, and she always would have two others with her. They always travel in threes, and would carry me through a window or a door or through the ceiling. And I can remember going through the ceiling and looking at Christmas decorations boxed up, and the raw insulation and the planks on the floor, because they were never finished. So I never understood, and so because of my schooling and the world, I started having the anxiety and fear. And when I started that, then they started touching me on the forehead or just using their higher consciousness and putting me in a more sedated, blacked out state. And for me, rather than being totally blacked out, they gave me fragmented memories, because they were giving me the opportunity, regardless of how long it took, to figure out that I created my own fear. I created it by listening to what others were saying and reading and watching what was on the television or etc. So it didn't happen overnight, but eventually I figured out, and I asked them how to correct this, and they told me, face your fears. So I had, so when that occurred and I realized it, what I started doing is, when I would feel they're coming, and I would start feeling the frequency would start changing in my body, and I would start feeling that rush. Is like a huge rush of extreme adrenaline or euphoria or fear, all combined into one. And then I would say, whoa, brain, I know what this is. And I would push myself through and control my mentality and change the fear into thinking positive things. And then I would get to experience the full experience I did, like when I was much, much younger. And that's the way I do it now. But it's still, I have to remind myself, because there is such a higher frequency. It is really overwhelming. And that's why that's why I know that when they first come down to make a worldwide appearance, they probably won't even step out of the ship, because we wouldn't be able to handle the frequency, and they would not be able to handle the density of Earth at our lower frequency. It's just as uncomfortable for them to be in our frequency for a period of time. And that's why they created this female hybrid race, that the one of them I'm just bonded to and absolutely love her, and she loves me. But she is a hybrid that was created by the tall grays and the interdimensionals, and tweaked in her DNA. She can withstand the density of Earth, and she is like their leg man, so to speak. And my escort, she's who transports me back and forth, gets me there, and then I don't see her, and I deal with all the other extraterrestrials and the interdimensionals. But when it's time to come home, she'll be the one to bring me home. Or either, because of all this activity going on around the world, they've kind of changed that, and it's more of they do black me out. I'm aware that they're here, and they take me by the hand, but then they black me out, and then we go through some kind of different teleport type thing that I'm not. They black me out for that. And sometimes I'm conscious when they're walking me back to the bed, and I feel like the best thing is when I see my grandson spinning around like in circles and circles and circles, and then he's walking around like this. That's the way I feel. It's extreme vertigo. and they're like having me up under and walking me back and getting me into bed. So something, for whatever reason, I don't know everything, don't claim to, but for whatever reasons, it kind of changed the transport mode of getting me at times.
I've wondered about that because recently, and we've talked about this before on the show, just this month, or maybe it was just the tail end of last month. Um, Mary got up to go to the bathroom during the night, and I wasn't in bed, so she figured I was in the bathroom. I wasn't in the bathroom. I wasn't anywhere in the house,
Yeah,
and Mary just figured, well, he'll be back in the morning and went back to bed, which is so typical because
yeah,
that's what happens. But then a couple of weeks later, and I found it very disturbing. I woke up. She wasn't next to me in bed, so I figured she's in the bathroom. So I was on top of the covers too. The covers were folded off to one side, and I don't sleep
yeah,
on top of the covers. I sleep under, no matter what. Um, so that was a giveaway to me. But then I got up and I looked for her, and the same thing. I couldn't find her anywhere in the house, and I went back and looked in the bed, and she wasn't there. But I had to really go to the bathroom, so I went. I did that. When I came back in, there she was.
yeah,
I know she wasn't in there, and so
yeah,
in that second they had put her back somehow, and
yeah,
so it wasn't the whole thing I was used to back in the 90s where they literally come through the walls and take me through the
yeah,
ceiling or out through the window and then just went right through it, because the minute
yeah,
they put a hand on me, my vibration would match theirs, which allows them to pass through solid matter, because there is no such thing as solid matter. It's
right, right.
so yeah.
That same thing has happened with my son and I, even when they were little, you know, sometimes he would just be looking for me and could not find me. And he would just be hysterical. And then he would,
It's disturbing.
yeah, and he would go, you know, he even one time went and woke a neighbor up to come over. And of course, when the neighbor walks in, there I am in the bed. But I believe my son. I mean, I know I know how they do things, you
Right.
know.
So your whole family's involved? Because I
Oh,
hear this
yeah.
a lot lately that, we're
Yes.
talking to a woman now. She's got 8 children and her husband, and they're all involved.
Well, my two sons have the same kind of contacts and downloads and things that I do. The oldest son, especially, and they gifted us both Kundalini awakenings around the same general time. And we don't live together. You know, he's got his own family and stuff. But we we neither one mentioned it to each other until a month or so after, and then we just came up in topic because we didn't really understand everything about it. But anyway, so that was part of the thing too. I think that I need them for support and to help me, like, to understand some of these downloads, and my sons need me, because when I was at their age, I had nobody, and it was not easy at all. And I went through a lot of different, struggles and traumas, divorces, all these things. And I'm hoping that they won't have to go through those kind of things, that I
You,
went through.
so you didn't have brothers or sisters?
Well, my sister has some experiences, but she
Right.
never wanted it to continue like I do. So, I also know that we can kind of turn this on and off. They don't force this. You
No,
know, they
no.
don't force it. For me, they gave me lots of time to adapt and get used to this. And I'm seeing that with my youngest son now. He went through a family crisis of losing his wife last Thanksgiving. So his priority is to get his 3-year-old and 6-year-old in his life back in order. And this is secondary. Well, my kids are grown, so I can give this the attention that it's required of it. And the older son, he's getting there too, to where I am. But that's the beautiful part. And you hear all these people coming out with all these crazy, ridiculous horror stories and things. That's not the way they operate at all. It's just as important for me to have my human life here and my experiences, and to have my loving family, and for me to give them love and time, as it is to have this contactee experience. And, they stress that to me all the time. And every time I'm on craft, they're checking for my mental health. They're checking for my physical health. They're checking on my spiritual growth and seeing what toxins that we're being thrown at here on earth. And, all these different things that they care about that we just don't even realize they care about.
Yeah, it's true, and they do checkups, but they also allow you to experience pain and they
Yes.
and physical ailments and things, because I think it's all part of the mission to
Yes,
really understand the human experience. So that
it
is
is.
important, that we
Yes.
do live a human life fully. Um, I mean,
Yeah,
I was
I've,
told,
I've had my share of suffering. I haven't talked about it a whole lot. I do know that it's going to all come out, but I've
yeah,
had my share of struggles. And my sister has told me that she asked them, why is why is my sister having to go through this? And they told her she has to experience this so that she can be who she's meant to be, and so that my brothers and sisters, my mother and father, and my children will learn. You know,
right.
so I'm
Well,
going
the
to do a whole
visitors are
article on that.
experiencing it. The
Huh?
visitors are experiencing it as well,
Yes,
because
yes.
they're
Through
living
me,
through it
everything I
vicariously.
experienced, they experienced. And it's just
Yeah,
like my working for the Department of Defense for a period of time, they instrumented that. It wasn't them noticing me, it was them instrumenting me to go and experience working as a civilian for the Department of Defense to,
amazing.
yeah, to see what it's like to be, because I worked with these fresh new soldiers, getting them prepared to be shipped to war. And, and plus I also got to be around a lot of high tech technology and stuff, 3D
Mhm.
imaging and stuff. So there was different reasons, but at the time I thought, well, I'm just doing this on my own. But now I know everything I've ever done, they played a part in it. It was all part of my growth, part of my spiritual soul experience that I needed to do here on earth.
Do you think that a Department of Defense was aware of your connection with the visitors?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I really don't know. We would like to think, because we pay all these taxes and we look to our government to protect us. And, but I often wonder, you know, to what extent do they do on a level of here within our country? I think they're kind of looking out the borderlines and wars. I don't know where their focus is, and I don't know if they do or not. To be honest, I think at one time they probably, after the crash at Roswell, I think that they did a lot then, but I think it got lax. If I could be wrong, but I think they got kind of lax later on.
Hmm.
So I don't
You,
know.
when you were talking about the crash, you mean the crashes and the recoveries and stuff.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
Whitley said something that I immediately agreed with, because I already knew about it, and we seem to know a lot of the same things, and of course, so do you. And there's a reason for it.
yeah.
He says the crash at Roswell was a gift.
Oh, it was a gift.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
because the way that we look at death, they don't. I mean,
That's
it takes
exactly
them.
what he said,
They transfer their soul into another vessel,
and
and they
so do
know
we.
before it's going to happen. And there's not a mourning period. It's a transfer, a soul transfer. And they've showed me that whole process, and I understand. That's why I have no fear of death, because I already know my family is waiting on me up there. When I go up there, they're
Sure.
off in a distance evaluating me, and I try to keep. I don't want to have eye contact with them, because I know who they are, and I
Yeah.
know I'm not ready for that flow of love and that yearning, because I'm not done here yet. I have
Sure.
children and life here,
Yeah.
and I know this experience is much, much a shorter life experience.
But
There,
there's so much we love here
yes,
that we look forward
exactly.
to every day when our eyes pop open.
Well,
You know.
and because of them, I realized this. If 20 or 30 years ago you asked me this, not knowing what I know now, I would have traded anything to take off and leave Earth. But now that I know what I know truly what this is a gift, and that we're very unique and we have so much to offer.
Thank you, our guided path. Thank you very much. That's the bell when somebody gives us some support. Um, yeah, I mean, this planet, sometimes, we have a home theater system with a very large screen, and Mary puts on very nice music, spiritual feeling, ambient music, and just it shows images, incredible imagery of the earth. And it's so incredibly beautiful here and so amazing. And you look at the planet and you think, who wouldn't want to be here, especially if you're coming from somewhere else? It'd just be amazing to come here and experience this. And here we are. It's incredible.
It is, and I hope that I can give people some insight on that.
Yeah. Well, they dig their heels in, and this. And in fact, when we started this channel, um, one of our first people who told her story about being taken and what she saw and what she experienced, immediately went to like 150,000 views. But yet it was, for the most part, very point A to B to C to D. Of course, Daphne didn't get a chance in the time we gave her to go into her feelings about the whole thing as we're doing now, which I well understand, and she is writing a book. But we were more popular then, and when we started talking about this whole experience being much, much more than little green men in metal ships coming to planet Earth, uh, people had a hard time with the way we're talking right now. They tend
They
to
brought
just,
up a they
you've
brought up
lost
their
me,
fear.
you've
Yeah,
lost me, people are nuts, goodbye.
yeah.
Um, have they ever really stopped and considered who they are, what they are, looked at themselves, looked at the stars, looked at what Webb's setting us back, and just it couldn't be any more fantastic and crazy. And it's
And there's
real.
so much, they've left so many messages. It's right out in front of us. All these cave drawings, all the
Yeah,
interactions with cultures. It's like a blind eye has been turned. It's like everybody's just like
yeah.
putting on these filters.
There's
So,
paintings of grays going back over 3,000 years.
yeah,
And they're definitely grays. Even in the Egyptian hieroglyphics, I'm starting to sound like the guy with the hair. But
yeah,
there's grays, and they're engraved in the stone, and it's like you look at it and it's like, is that sort of a gray? No, it's a gray.
yeah.
And so
Hmm.
it's all over, and it's constantly trying to be suppressed.
It is, but that's because there's the group of controllers that
That's
want to
it.
keep us dumbed
That's it.
down, because as long as we're dumbed down and not intelligent and we're unhealthy, they can control the population, they can control us, manipulate us, and they
Our
rule the world,
our own people are harvesting us, not
Yes, it's
visitors,
not
visitors
extraterrestrials.
from the stars, in
Yeah,
which a lot of the negative people are saying, no, they are harvesting
no,
us, and they're taking our DNA, and they're doing all these horrible things. Sounds like our people.
it is our people, and if people would just use their logic and think, okay, look at what we can do with our genetic scientists. Think about what they're able to do with DNA, how they can extract it from just minute little things. And you add a billion years of evolution on top of these beings.
Yeah.
So all these little stories, that everything, that this probing, this taking out the sperm and the eggs and stuff. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that I truly believe they believe these things, but I also know that was their perception. It may not be the exact. Yes, they probably made a soul contract agreement to be part of the evolutionary process, but the way that they would do the DNA would not be, like this hands-on version. That's human thinking. And people don't realize that their technology is not a separate entity like it is for us. We have to, you and I are talking on our technology. We have to carry it around as a separate entity. Their higher consciousness is their technology. They don't even have the word technology. It is them. They can manifest and create anything they want, and they have their own souls. So, you know, I think once people tap into this higher consciousness, all these things are going to be answered. And I think that's we just have to be patient and let a majority of the populace kind of tap into that information,
Yeah.
and then it will be a lot easier.
Well, more and more I hear people telling me that they're meditating and they're trying to reconnect with nature and the stars, and that's good. And
It is
because
good.
the more we babble about it, they're going to try it. It's
Hmm.
like I've tried everything else. you know, it just doesn't seem to be working. Going to work every day and putting food on the table. There's just got to be something more. And
Yeah,
there
there
is.
is. Well, the thing about raising your frequency is it feels good. You
It
know,
does.
it feels really good. The best thing I can compare it to explain to somebody is like I hear about runners that run these extreme distance to get that euphoric feeling. And that's the way, when I raise my frequency and I'm around, and I feel it, it feels kind of like that. It's like a rush. It feels so good. And it's kind of like once you start feeling that, you don't want to go back to the negative aspects. You find yourself staying in that frame of thinking, that frame of mind, and it creates a whole different opportunity and worlds around you just by being more positive.
What about self healing as a result too? Does that
Yes,
become possible? Because I think it does.
absolutely. I mean, you think about it. I know at their frequency, at their level, there is no fear, there is no anger, there is no depression, there is no disease. And I think that, that's part of the reason too. They want to keep us at this lower frequency because this is where all negative things can occur. So by keeping us here, they can keep us dependent upon synthetic drugs that our bodies really don't need because the interdimensional extraterrestrials tell me everything we ever needed was put here on this planet in some form, whether it be bark on a tree or a plant or a flower. There's something here to cure anything, and we should not have property or diseases, and we should be living much, much longer lives.
Much longer
So,
lives.
mhm,
Um, Rachel saying things like sickle cell. There are some very difficult diseases that it'd be nice to think that you could just. It's not thinking it away. It's using your higher frequency to get into a frequency and a harmonium within your physical being that negates those diseases. And I know that there are people who have done it, but they don't.
yeah,
They don't go on television and they don't boast about it because if they told everybody that they were successful at that, and I know people who have been in the past, then everybody would want to know somebody wanted to get hold of them and dissect them, probably our government,
exactly.
what
Well,
they
I
did.
think I think that's going to be the wave of the future in medicine is they're going to learn more about frequency and the simple fact that we will become more intelligent, our awareness will increase. We're going to start behaving more healthier. We're going to eat more healthier. We're going to pay attention to the packaging on what
Sure,
we buy. And that will play into a lot of it because you think about all this toxins and synthetic
sure,
that has created a lot of our sickness and
it
diseases.
has, and that was all because somebody wanted to make a lot of money.
That's right. They
Well,
cannot make money off of healthy, intelligent human beings. And so
no,
they
or
want to keep
free
it.
energy, which people
Exactly.
balk at. But the universe is nothing but energy, and so are we, and
Right.
it's all around us. And all we have to do is tap into it. And every single person who's done that and come forward has been put to rest. And
Every natural element provides some kind of energy.
yeah,
We're just not tapping in on these things, or they're suppressing it, is what it is. It's
we
being
don't
suppressed.
we don't need oil, and we don't
No,
need coal. You don't need any of
not
that.
at all.
Never have. It's always been there. Wow. You have a great website.
Well,
I've been
I'm
told,
going to change it. It needs to be vamped up. I spend so much time on doing podcasts. I spend so much time
and here
working
you
on
are.
a Facebook page. Yeah. Because, I feel like that reaches out to a lot of people. You giving me this opportunity is very favorable for me. As you know, it gives me the opportunity to express myself and get information out there, open
Right.
doors, make connections, and I feel like Facebook and I haven't really branched out to other platforms and I don't know, but right now it's working really good, and I'm writing articles, and I'm enjoying that. I've been writing a lot of articles from the downloads, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm playing with that chat GPT thing, making my own logo. I mean, my own little bins and things.
Uh-huh.
It is so much fun.
Huh.
I love it.
So these articles are on your website. You're posting them
Well,
there.
I'm putting them in the group. I've got some old ones on the website, but I've been doing newer ones. I did two before I came on with you today while
Right.
I was waiting. It's just things that come to mind or things that I see. I belong to a lot of groups, so I'll look for things that seems to be the question on a lot of groups' minds. Like what they're asking, and then I will meditate on it, or go say my little talk to them, and then sleep, and then during my dream time they will we will work through these things, and then I get up and I'm just ready to start writing.
Yeah. Often I get up in the morning and it's like I had a plan to do something, but it's like I have this message in my mind, and so I sit down and write a little article. And I've been using Substack for that, and we have a forum as well, Breaking a Silence forums, which we really needed because a lot of the social media platforms, they just don't work, and you need a
Yeah.
forum where people can start a thread and they can
Oh,
talk about.
trolls, and you get the trolls and just all kinds of negativity,
Yeah,
and
but
yeah,
not in our forum. We haven't had
that's
any.
good.
There's 81 people in it, and every one of them is an experiencer.
I have a
Actually,
forum on my
a lot of them are
website
here right
too.
now.
Yeah. And I have the forum on the website, but then of course I have a lot of monitors in my time for disclosure
Hmm.
group, and we try to keep out trolls, and we want it to be a safe place for people to ask questions, for people to
Ditto.
dip their toe in if they're newbies, a place where people to share their experiences, and not be picked at about it or made fun of. So yeah.
Yeah, we're very, very, very protective, and we get them once in a while, not a lot, because I think they figured out that that's what's going to happen to them, that they're not going to get anywhere. Um,
Yeah.
and some of those trolls are actually people working within, our government. I know they
Yeah, I've
are.
heard that they pay people to do those kind of
Yeah,
things,
they
especially
do.
like a group that's really rising and
Yeah.
people are listening and paying attention to. They will pay people to come in. So
Yeah, good.
what I've been doing is
Yeah.
previewing what, especially a visitor, whatever they before it gets posted, someone in our group previews it, and then if it gets overlooked, it gets deleted quickly.
Yeah, the last thing that the people in power on this planet want people to do is wake up, because if they do, they're going to look at them and say, "Why did we ever listen to you?" And there goes
Exactly.
their power, and that's what's going to happen, no matter
Yes, I
what.
know.
And they're stopping it. They're doing what they can right now to do that, and they have been, but it's
Yes.
going to last forever.
Yeah. Well, their day is about over. They're on their last legs. And another thing too, people are like, "Well, Nancy, why is there so much horrible things going on in the world?" And first of all, whatever you have on your mind, your reality can create. But you have to understand half of the what they put on news media is propaganda.
Hmm.
And the other thing is that, if they have nobody watching these things, they have nobody to perform for. So you got
Yeah,
to quit giving it the attention.
yeah,
So
yeah. There's never been a news channel called The Good News. It
exactly.
only has positive news on it, because they
Mhm.
probably wouldn't succeed. But then again, I'm starting to wonder, maybe they would now, because
Yeah,
there's so
things are
many good
changing.
things that happen every day. I mean, with science and arts and human stories, where people are doing good things. All we, hear about is the wars and all that stuff, and we rarely, rarely. I mean, a lot of the news programs at the very end, they'll give you a nice human story where somebody did something nice for somebody, but
Yeah.
that happens every day. It happens more than the wars and everything else, and yet they don't focus on it because it doesn't sell. So, what is her website? Her website is timefordisclosure.com.
Yes,
It's a really easy one to remember.
it is. And the
Time
Facebook group is Time for Disclosure. / we have never been alone. And then I've added, we are the disclosure. And if you don't mind, I'd like to explain why I say that.
Sure. No, I don't mind. We have some time.
Okay. Well, I think we've moved beyond disclosure. Pretty much, I would say that the information is there if you want to know, regardless regardless of whether the president has said anything, the information is there.
Like that.
So you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but the thing that I have, learned, especially over in the last 2 years, is that we human beings, we are the disclosure.
Yeah.
This is about us.
Sure.
This is about humanity waking up, understanding who we are on the inside and not what we've been programmed into, and about us understanding that we have options, that we've been confined in a negative realm and we can move out and sense freedom in a way that we've never had before.
Yes.
And also, understand that, we all have the potential to tap into this information if we work on our inner souls and raise our frequencies. And we all have things in our DNA that have been dormant that could start to activate. So, that's why I say we are the disclosure. Extraterrestrials have been around before we were even around. That's nothing new. What's new is us reaching higher levels of consciousness and having a better understanding of our planet Earth and our connections to not only here on Earth and with each other, but to the cosmic realm.
Many of the groups now, including Von Smith's group, the Cyril group, which I've been part of since the early 90s, she's always saying in her conferences and her talks and to us is that the disclosure, we are disclosure. And I'm starting to hear that more and more and more. Because if we're going to wait on Washington and these nuts and bolts guys trying to figure out how they built the spaceships, that's not important.
No, it's not.
Or for them, because they want to weaponize it.
Yeah, for the wrong reasons. Yeah, and they're not going to let, extraterrestrials are not going to let that happen.
No, when Roswell was the great experiment, what would they do with their technology and their knowledge of some of our physical being if we gave it to them, which is why it was a gift, and it did get weaponized. It absolutely did. I'm not aware of. Well, we got a lot of electronic technology as a result. I mean, we're able to do what we're doing right now, I feel, from that technology. And that wasn't the only crash either. There's been other and retrievals and stuff, and maybe some of those were accidents. Because
I think that part of this knowledge that we're going to retain in this ascension, I hope people will understand those crashes were gifts.
Mm-hmm.
They were gifts to humanity. Think about how our technology changed, what we've accomplished from those events.
For thousands of years, we had oil lamps and horses, and then suddenly at the turn of the century, everything started to change. Yeah. But it really wasn't until 1947 that suddenly it took a huge leap.
Yeah.
And, so by the 60s, we were starting to see LED technology and calculators and all kinds of computer work. And then it accelerated so quickly. When for thousands of years, we couldn't figure out any of these things.
Right. Really.
Or if we did, give them the chance.
They do so much. And I almost guarantee, I don't know everything, and I don't claim to.
Neither do I.
But I'm sure, surrounding our planet, they protect our planet, and I'm sure that there's a reason why the moon stays in the position it's in. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why the things in the cosmos work the way they do.
Also, there's been numerous opportunities for asteroids to hit us, and they didn't even tell us about some of them. And then suddenly, mysteriously, they changed course.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I know we have one coming in 2029, and it's supposed to end up off the coast of Santa Monica, but I bet it misses us, so.
How close is that to where you are?
Close enough to cause some real serious problems. It's not a big one, but it would cause quite a tsunami.
Yeah.
And it was amazing listening to this astrophysicist talk about it and how our government just wants to gamble with it because it's a real good chance it'll miss us. There's a small chance it might hit us. Well, if there's a small chance it might hit us, why don't we get busy, take some of that
Yeah,
money
you need to take
in
that
on wars,
seriously.
and killing each other, and build a spacecraft and go out and do a noble mission and push it out of the way. 600 feet for sure will miss us. So, but
Yeah.
no, they're greedy little turds, and they want to use that money for something else. Nah, if it hits off the coast of California, not so bad. You can just hear them. So
I
this has
know.
been a fantastic conversation. It really been great to have you here on the show,
Thank
Nancy.
you. I've enjoyed it. I love it. I hope you'll have me again. And I
We
hope that,
will.
yeah,
We will, and I think everyone here enjoyed you. And integrated circuits, yes. Well, we couldn't see those integrated circuits until we had electron microscopes. They were little black chips all outside the perimeter and inside the craft at Roswell, is what I was told. So I was just noticing one of the comments. Well, anyway, we're gonna close. Thanks everybody for all the support tonight and being here, and being part of breaking the silence, being part of this whole experience.
yes,
And
we
Nancy,
all play a role. We are
thank
the
you.
disclosure.
Go check out her website, and because I'm going to keep my eye on it because you're writing articles and I want to read them. So
They're on the Facebook page right now, but I'm
you're on
I'm
the
going to move
Facebook page.
on.
So
Yeah.
you're on Facebook.
Yes.
You should be easy to find. So
Yes.
all right, Nancy, it's been wonderful. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
everyone. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.